Welcome back to the 80s. So, collective, I saw curly hair and wood paneling, references to like a retro situation, like something that it gave me an 80s vibe when I felt the energy for your reading for this week. Now, maybe you just got a perm and maybe your hair is curly and that's bringing people back to the 80s, or maybe you have wooden paneling in your house, or maybe maybe it's just what's coming back. Maybe the 80s are coming back. And you're witnessing it happen this week. Looking at the cards on the board, we've got the Page of Cups. Page of Cups is show and tell. Page of Cups is showing people what something that actually you feel pretty cool about. So maybe people are feeling pretty cool about some like retro times. Retro is back, basically. Maybe not even just the 80s. Maybe just the concept of retro being like something that people are getting back into lately. That's a theme for the week for whatever reason. Let's pull more cards. This is very general, so let's try to get a little more specific. So we've got the Knight of Swords, the Ten of Cups, and then the Page of Pentacles. The Page of Pentacles is that physical thing that you did to that has that vibe. So either the curly hair, either the wooden paneling, whatever it is that is bringing that retro vibe to your life. Maybe it's even a person, right? That's that physical aspect of it. And then the Ten of Cups. This could be a family member. This could just be the Ten of Cups actually is a bit of nostalgia. It's like bringing you back to when you were with your family in those days, potentially. But the Ten of Cups can also be the family member that is that's decorating, or that's bringing that energy, or maybe this is like your family home that has this energy. Maybe you're visiting. And the Knight of Swords is really just the mind. So the Knight of Swords is how we perceive things and how we narrate things. So it's like the narration, it's kind of like 80s theme music is going on in the background while this person is doing their thing, or you guys are doing your thing. All right, let's pull some oracle cards and find out more information. Tell me more about what's going on with the collective for everyone. Tell me more about this reading. What's going on with the collective? Please tell me more about these 80s vibes. Tell me more about this retro vibe. Oh, this is getting really interesting. We've got the hammer reversed with the volcano. So the reason why the 80s were so crazy is because the world was crazy. So when the world gets crazy, people kind of like almost have a, what's the word? Like a reactionary response to it. And there's counterculture. That's what this is. So the volcano with the hammer reversed is counterculture. And so maybe there's counterculture happening right now because the world seems like it's kind of going off kilter. The world seems like it's going crazy and like, falling off its axis, and everybody's going nuts. So, and there's a sense that there's a counterculture, a retro counterculture building that parallels that, or that embodies that somehow. And I think, like, if you think back to the 80s, the people were crazy in the 80s because people just wanted to feel like they had power over anything. Like, people did a lot of drugs, people did cocaine, and it's because you felt so trapped and imprisoned by society, by like capitalistic, like dystopian capitalism, at its most prominent in the 90s. And like I said, it creates a counterculture, and there's a counterculture forming now. On the bottom, we have the number 5, which is the number for difficulty, which is the number for strain. Which is really the catalyst for counterculture. And then the city, which is society. So the more that society goes crazy, the more that there is a counterculture that's being created that kind of brings us back. It's like going back to our roots, going back to retro times. Maybe more like earthy, more like earthy too, because I saw wooden paneling. So maybe this is also kind of like going back to the earth as part of that counterculture. All right, let's pull advice and see if there's any advice to be had here. This seems more informative. Let's see if there's any advice. Any advice here for the collective on what's going on on this counterculture? How is this relevant? How is this relevant to the people who are watching? Why do they need to know this? The Star card, interesting. It's just so you know where the future is headed. The Star card is literally the future, but it's also the unknown future because it's potentially so far ahead in the future. So we're getting a glimpse. We're getting a glimpse now, this week potentially, because this is a weekly reading, of the counterculture and the type of people who are going to maybe even end up in the mainstream, but the type of culture that's being kind of seeded into the background. Let's see what else there is. Wow. It's funny because the Queen of Pentacles and the Five of Cups is basically the people who are disgruntled and left out. The people who are left out and are disgruntled about it are also the people who are forming this counterculture. And whoever is being oppressed right now, or whoever was oppressed, were also the same people who fell into that counterculture. Like people who wore mohawk, or you had a lot of piercings, or you had a lot of tattoos, because you were kind of, again, you're like going against the culture, which is bad in some way. And we all know there's negative aspects to our culture and our society, and so there are people going against the grain there, and it's just the people who feel left out. Maybe you guys are one of those people. Maybe this is why this is coming up, is because you're going to end up as one of those people who end up so fed up with the way things are going that you're just like, you know what, I'm going back to my roots. I'm ditching technology. I'm gonna be an Amish person. I'm living out in the countryside, right? Maybe that's the level of retro that we're talking about, is like Amish country. Let's pull some oracle cards and then we will close out your reading. Anything else for advice here for the collective? This is a very weird reading. Anything else for advice? Oh, I get where this is going now. So on the bottom we have the Manticore. The Manticore is frustration, irritation, annoyances. So really what this is saying is there's a purpose to all the frustrations and irritations and annoyances. And part of the benefit, the silver lining, is that it's going to create a counterculture to address the frustrations, irritations, and annoyances, the things that are oppressive about society. That's what counterculture always does, is it highlights those issues. It brings those issues to the forefront and it forces people to talk about those issues, the mouth with the sun. So it's just telling you, like, no matter how bad things get, and the reason behind these frustrations and annoyances and irritations is so that people are forced to talk about them. Let's see what else there is. Next couple cards, we've got the Door, Pluto, and Mars. This is like taking back the power. This is like taking back the power one day, not now, because of the Star card, right? Far future. But if the counterculture doesn't get started now, if people aren't disgruntled enough to start kind of talking to each other and grouping themselves together now, then taking back the power never happens way in the future. So just understand that everything's happening for that reason. And for us, things might seem frustrating, crazy, annoying, like feel oppressive. It's for that reason, to create the reaction or a response, to create this counterculture that we will eventually need to take back the power someday in the future. All right, guys, I hope that was hopeful. I feel like I tried to make that hopeful, and I think it was. I hope you guys enjoyed that reading. Thank you guys for being here. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, follow the channel. If you want to support what I do, you can check out Patreon, which is a membership service that I have linked below, where I have more videos. I have love readings and stuff like that. So check that out. With that, I'll see you guys next time.